Fulham Fix, Season 5, Episode 3. It's been beautiful so far. We're talking to a lot of the current squad because they are flying, and in time we hope to think of them as a definitive Fulham team. So Alex Iwobi was on last week. We love Alex Iwobi with all our heart, having an amazing season. So we're getting through a lot of the current stuff, but also another definitive Fulham team in modern history is, of course, Roy Hodgson's team from the Europa League season. So there's so many stories and so much love for that team that we're getting through a number of that squad. Stephen Kelly is on this week, who's very much part of that squad. And the interesting thing with Stephen Ivan is that you really get a sense when you speak to him, you meet him. Well, there's an essence of Fulham and that Hodgson team in him, but also how that team was like more than the sum of its parts, and they like the way they like think of each other still, and the way he talks about it, you really get that sense, don't you?
Without a doubt, and it's almost like the more we do interview like the players from that team, they are almost like one player. They are built the same. Do you know what I mean? They all. There's something about them, and you understand now why it was so cohesive and they gelled so well. And no matter what happened, with one of the players, one would drop out for whatever reason, injury, whatever, suspension. Another one would drop in and just fill the gap perfectly. They all knew it was. It's incredible. And super nice guy. And still, like I mentioned it last week, he dresses sharp, and that makes a difference. I know in the media room, you look around the media room, people turn up on media day, and it's like they're wearing a bin bag or whatever. And, they got a coffee on the go. And he walks in, just looking suave, takes it serious. I respect that.
He was at the Cottage to do co-commentary, which he's brilliant at. Yeah. And that's a nice thing about it as well, because you could get a sense of, in his playing career, how he had to read the game, and that kind of thing, and that really comes out in his post-career work. Let's speak to him now. Stephen Kelly.
Thank you so much for joining us. Stephen, how you doing?
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me. It's nice to be back.
Nice to be back, but you're actually here quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's not like, we're welcoming you back. Oh, I haven't been here since last time I was here. It was this. You guys, because you're doing, loads of commentary now.
Yeah, I'm on with 5 Live. Yeah,
5 Live.
Yeah, 5 Live. Every other weekend really with 5 Live, and I was here for the Brighton game was the last game I was here. But it's nice because I've seen the development of the stand and the stadium change as it's going, not just being a shock to the system of, how it's changed. But it's nice. It's still probably my favourite ground to come to.
Really?
Yeah.
I was going to ask, do you have that connection with Fulham?
Yeah, it's funny. Like I'm a Tottenham fan, which is probably, but because I just went there and obviously played there, But it's like Tottenham Stadium is amazing. But there's something really special. I was just walking down here with my son, Hugo. We were coming to the game. This is the first time I brought him to the Cottage. Yeah. And I was like, it's just really special. You walk along the riverside and you come in and the Cottage is still here. And it's just, there is just something really special about it.
Yeah. And also you came at such a magical moment in Fulham. Like in the modern history of Fulham, your exact time actually... Do you know what I mean? It's like very concisely paints like the most glorious moment in Fulham's history, really.
I was very lucky. The season I signed was the first year they got into the Europa League, and that we just went on that run. So that was I signed for Fulham knowing that we had an opportunity to play in Europe, because as a player you want to play the best competitions, the highest level you can, and so it was like, I think the season before they'd come in but didn't happen, and then they came in that year, and I was like, listen, this is for me. And I'd spent a lot of my life in London with Tottenham, so to come back here was always going to be nice. But you couldn't have envisaged what was going to happen that year.
Yeah, right.
No one could.
Did Roy sell it in though? Because Roy obviously wanted you from Birmingham. Did he sell in like an ambition?
We've got an extra amount of games this season. It's all part of it. Fingers crossed, we're a small squad, but we're going to get a lot of game time, and that was the sell. Yeah. But knowing what Fulham was and the type of club was, and then when you meet Roy, it's very easy to want to sign for a manager like that. And the players, there's a few lads here that I played with quite a lot, like Tottenham. There's a big connection at that time.
There was,
Bobby Z,
Simon
course.
Davies.
Concha,
that's right,
Had
he? Wow.
Concha being alone there as well. So there's quite a lot that you just knew. Danny Murphy.
Did you get any advice from anyone that had been at Fulham or anything like that, and say, should I be going there? What's your thoughts on the club?
I spoke through Danny Murphy a couple of bit, and he just said, listen, it's a great club. You can't go wrong. It's to come and play here. He spoke about Roy and tactically what he was like and how we're going to be, and he said, it's a really enjoyable place to come and play football, because there's not many like this. And I was like, okay.
Well, it is an enjoyable place to come, especially at that time. Like you said, we just had, under Roy, it was remarkable. Obviously, he kept us up in the most ridiculous Great Escape ever. Then the second season, we finished 7th. So it really was like the feeling amongst the Fulham fans and the players at the time you joined was just, positivity and real excitement and
Possibility.
possibility, absolutely. And starting this European journey, I mean, no one could have expected sort of, how it went and how far we would go. But you played such a key part in that, and I think that's probably a really good place to start.
Many, looking at you now, Stephen, there's so many just moments that are flashing in my head, like away in the snow in Basel, the sending off that was you, that was Breda.
That was me, Breda, and Hughesy.
But it's like there's so much drama inside all of those games, isn't it? I mean, I don't even know where to. Should we start with that? With the sending off?
Yeah, I think so.
Strange, because in that tournament they had
refs, literally on the touchline.
Yeah.
Who didn't see it, which is hilarious.
Yeah, who didn't see it. And God, talk us through that. We'll play that as well, like footage of it.
I still don't know exactly what happened, to be perfectly honest, because it was.
Should we start with? Do you think you deserved a red?
No, I still don't think. Yeah, so it was John Arisa who obviously came here, so I know John quite well. And he kind of stepped into the box, and I was behind them. Yeah. I think I tripped Cos leg. I can't really. I have to see again to probably call. Maybe being a commentator now, but I'll probably it's a penalty. But I don't know. So as he stepped across me, but then Breda came across, and Breda was right in front of him, I think, and Hughesy was there, so he wasn't getting anywhere. And so he just stepped across. He went down easily, which I told him a few times after he signed there. And then the ref came over, but they sent Breda off first.
That's right. Yeah.
And then we were like going, Breda is nowhere near. Like, didn't touch him. Like, and then it's like the fourth or fifth official, whoever it was, and then the line didn't know what had gone on. And then me and Hughesy were like, no, like I was the one. So I think when I said to the ref,
you said,
me and Hughesy were like, I was like, I was the one behind them. Then he changed it and gave me the red card. And I was like, but if you didn't see it, how can you?
How can you be sending anyone off at this point?
So if you have to change your mind because you don't know what happened, you don't know who the players are, you haven't had any confirmation from the other people around.
So true though, isn't it? If he's gone down, how do you know it's not a dog?
Like when this day you see someone go, ref, by the way, that was me, and they go change the red card because they've admitted to it.
They haven't seen enough of the situation.
They haven't seen it. You would have to get a VAR now.
You should have gone. Who's been the weakest player on the pitch today?
We'll send
get him over. Get one of them over.
Can we send a sub off, please?
It was on the bench.
You know what I mean? So it was a strange situation, and
it was weird that time because it was a big game, Rome, and it was.
Game,
I think that ended up we were winning at that point, ended up 1-1. And I remember that feeling in the cottage then, like that felt heartbreaking. Like, that's our moment. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of how it felt at that time, isn't it? Which is strange to think about now.
No, well, I think you're playing Rome at the cottage, and even that in itself sounds crazy, doesn't it? That you're playing against a team like that, but it was a weird scenario to get sent off. It's the only I think I've sent off one set other in my career as well, so I've not had many red cards.
At least that one's quite unique. It stands out from the others. Yeah, well,
sort of arguing they sent off 3 of us or 2 of us in the process, so it's not many like that, I don't think. But it was a weird scenario. But then I suppose to still be able to come through on the back of that was impressive.
Massive, unbelievable. Basel in the Snow is another one that stands out because it's iconic, and I think at the time, and a lot of fans don't realise just what a big deal it was to play it because they were unbeaten.
They were flying,
absolutely. Yeah, and Roy said, a lot of the fans don't realise like that's one of his standout games for him because he knew how hard they were to play and how tough it was to beat them, and then to go there and to give them the game we gave them. What's your memories of it? In the snow as well. Which obviously,
to this day, that's the coldest game I've ever played in. Still, I don't think there's many games where I don't think I wore gloves, but I don't think I've ever wore I don't really wear long sleeve shorts that often. But I remember wearing Under Armour. It was freezing, and I was playing left back. Because I think maybe I can't remember why was a Conch suspended or someone, but I ended up playing left back in that game, which I did quite a lot here. But and I just remember it was a great game. I remember Murph put me through for Gears, and I crossed the ball for Gears to get the goal, led to the box. So it was nice to be involved, something like that. But I just remember how cold it was, and at the time, knowing that if we win, we would go through. From
that group, it's famous because there's like Christmas markets at that time. There's all famous stories about Fulham fans like hunting down Roy Hodgson, looking for Christmas markets and all that kind of thing. But I guess you wouldn't have done that when you just been straight in and out
focusing on it.
But that really gives the sense of that whole adventure being like, when you look back on it, like all through the seasons, because you had to start right before in the preliminary phase of it as well. So it's a real like journey. And you end up involved a lot because is it Chris Baird in? Or you just end up
I think Roy just rotated it quite a lot between myself and Birdie, and then I said because I played left back, sometimes Conti wouldn't play and I'd play left back, and if we had a Premier League game coming up quite quick, it was just there was a bit of a rotation between the three of us, and I think Johnny Panso was injured quite a lot that season, so he didn't really feature that much. So it was like three of us were playing those two fullback positions, so we just rotated quite a lot, and it was enjoyable. We got loads of game time, which was nice.
Before we went on, you were telling us a story about Del Piero, which I think you need to share in the first leg when we get beat 3-1.
So you listen, I think anybody that watched football or watched Italian football back in the day, it was like that was it, wasn't it? It was like Del Piero and I suppose Totti and all these guys that you just like huge affinity for. And I remember just getting the game over at Turin and we lost, and I was like, oh, just not going to get an opportunity like this ever again. So we were walking down the tunnel and I just said, oh listen, excuse me Alessandro, can I have your jersey? What was funny was I asked him for his jersey, and he said, yeah. And then I was walking off and he's like, hey. And he's like, your jersey. And I was like, oh, you actually want? So I gave my jersey back. But it's just because it's him, It's like,
of course.
Absolute icon. So so I have the black and white Del Piero jersey, which was just something that you kind of.
Come on. Yeah. Is it framed or is it?
No, I have it locked away,
It's just somewhere locked away.
Locked away, yeah.
That's very cool. Very nice, and at that point as well, like you said, we're 3-1 down. And you must think it's done. It's a done deal at that point. And, the second leg is just, we've got to play it as gentlemen's, almost a gentleman's agreement. Let's play this one. And
I think again, it's Juventus and you're going away to Turin and you've lost 3-1 and the play, like, you're talking like Ballon d'Or, like Cannavaro, like Trezeguet, World Cup winners and Del Piero, and all these guys. And listen, they're all just names on a shirt at the end of the day. You have to, it's 11v11 on the pitch. But when you lose like that away from home, and Dixon got that late goal, you're going, what are the chances of doing it? But you never ever go into a game believing you can't win it. You never, like, no professional football will ever tell you to go. So you get the game here, you think, listen, let's start well. And they score after 5 minutes. So you're like, I'll throw that plan out the window.
That was like, well.
Do you remember that feeling when they did score early? Like, what was that feeling?
I think it was just like, you know what, we had nothing to lose before that, and that almost emphasised it even more. It was just like, well, what else? And then you got one, and you got another, and you're kind of like, this might be on, and then you got that third, and the atmosphere just went. I've never experienced a cottage like it ever.
Don't think anyone has.
And it was electric. Like, it was every kick of the ball, every throw in, every touch was just amplified from the people around. Yeah. And then when Dems chips, like, what a goal! Like, of all the goals to score, you're gonna chip the goalkeeper. Like, in the last, it was just. Yeah, the roof came off here.
Do you have, like, because when I think about it, I genuinely do feel like it felt like something magical was going to happen that night. It's so easy to say with hindsight, but it just, something about the evening felt like something special was. I don't know, do you know what I mean? It's so easy to say that after results happen, but on the pitch, did it feel? Do you know what I mean?
As the game was going on, it was just like, and then when Cannavaro got sent off, you're like, there's an opportunity here, and we played well in the tournament at that point, and we knew we could score goals. We knew we were really well organised, as Roy would tell you, the way we played, the way we set up. So it was just an inner belief, I suppose, that came through the team. And then as the game goes on, you forget that it's Juventus almost. I think that's what it is. You have to forget that who you're playing against and what they've done before. Because again, once you get on the pitch, that's the way you kind of react.
We chatted to Bobby Zamora about it, who claims that he wanted to go extra time. Because he said, if we go extra time, we're getting a couple more goals. Like, he was actually, slightly almost disappointed that it was job done at 4-1, because he was like, no, I was like, let's go extra time, let's keep it going.
I think there was a sense that because we were ramping up towards the end of the game that we'll do this in extra time, but then, listen, you're going to take that winner all day.
especially that winner.
So, it was. There was a real sense within the group and you get that on the pitch. You get moments in games where something changes and you feel like we can do this now, and there was that sense within the group.
In your career, would you say is anything go above that as a feeling, as a moment?
Listen, there's been amazing moments in my career, but when it comes to an actual individual game, I've never experienced anything like that. I've never had a game where you've come back from being down against such an iconic side with a team that we would have been written off how many times against them. So I don't think I've ever experienced, like, listen, I got to captain my country, which was amazing, and that's an experience you never take away, but it was a different feeling to this. This is an in-game moment where something happens and it just changed, and like I said, the atmosphere, well, I don't think I've ever experienced it before.
Do you think there's something different about the cottage from a playing perspective? Be interested, because, like, obviously it's changing now, the Riverside, but what I still like comparatively about Craven Cottage to a lot of grounds is when you look at it, you can still see the history there with Stevenage Road and that. Yeah. So when you're inside moments like that, there is something very emotive about, you can feel the decades and decades and decades of people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it feels like a historical club.
Yeah.
It's not been wiped away through.
Yeah.
And I think, there's a lot of new stadiums that have tried to keep a lot of the heritage and their standing that's been built. But when you actually have it in the corner of the stadium there, like, you know what I mean? That, like, it's like that's with change rooms in there and they're still tiny in there.
Have you been in there at all since they've done it up now?
No,
it's a lot different now. I haven't been
since they've done it up, and obviously this cottage seating, that used to be the players and family seating for us.
Yeah.
And so that's where we used to sit and stuff. If you were
outside the cottage?
Yeah, the cottage. That's where the players' lounge was there, and you'd come in and sit there. So I think all that tied into how kind of unique Fulham is as a place.
Yeah, totally, absolutely. I want to just quickly, because we're talking about how your period at the club wraps up a lot of time in Fulham, but also you're one of few people that played for Roy, Hughes, Yole, almost consecutively.
Yeah, it was like a different one every season.
Yeah, every season. It was a strange time, considering we were being so successful as a club, but we were changing managers every season.
Yeah. Quickly, I mean, I almost want to hear what the differences to you were between those guys. Like, I mean, that's quite a big question there, but firstly, I guess, Hughes compared to Roy.
Roy is unlike any manager I've ever had before. Roy is on the training pitch the whole time, dictating every minute of session. Roy's dictating. That's how Roy works, and it's high energy, it's high intensity, and it's how he wants it to be, start to finish. If it's not right, you start again, and that's Roy.
Yeah,
and it was tactical, team shape, and like we used to joke, like the lads would be begging for a 5-a-side in the training. Like this is, if you speak to Bobby would be like, "Oh, Gaffer, come on, give us a 5-a-side, let's have a kick it." And Roy would just walk in, go on, play yourselves. I'm going in now because I've done my work. But what we did in the training ground it would happen on the pitch. It was like, it was just seamless. You would just, everything you did would just come, the passing, the movement, it would just all just fall into place because we'd done it so much.
Yeah.
And then Mark Hughes came in, which had a completely different style. He was a bit more aloof, would say back a little bit. Watch his coaches would take the sessions. They were high intensity, loads of energy, loads of football, loads of small sided games.
Was training more fun, would you say, under Mark Hughes?
As a player.
Yeah,
no one likes the tactic. No one likes to stand around the set plays, the corners. No one likes the directness. But as you're in it and as you see what's actually better for you as a player, you when you look back, I suppose you go, well, that was actually better for us because what we did at that time enable us to be a better team against really good opposition. So I'm not saying the other thing didn't work, it was just different, but you enjoy those high intense games. That's what you enjoy in training. You want to be running around, you want to be flying about, you don't want to be standing around, you don't want to be in a shape doing real kind of what people
did you remember having any talks with Mark Hughes at all? Did you have any
when he came in? Yeah, he was really good. Like, honestly, I think everybody else here on Hughes would have gotten well with him. And he had a different way. He wanted us to defend a certain way, as if he wanted just to show you into the midfield where we had numbers and change the sort of game, and then like overlapping, getting forward more and joining in the game more. Yeah, there was loads of different tactical things, and he was very much, like I said, he would come and speak to you one-on-one. Was quiet enough where you think of Mark Hughes, you think this big, vibrant, where he's quite like low key and keeps it
like softly spoken, almost
softly spoken, which is not what you expect. Don't get me wrong, he can have a go at you as well, most managers can, but not what you would expect.
No. And then after, because he was only here for one season for whatever reason, I think, whether there's clashes there, and then Martin Yole came in. What was your experience with Martin? I was about to say from Spurs.
I knew Martin from Tottenham, and we actually had a quite good relationship, myself and Martin. We always got on very well. And Martin's just, again, very different Dutch manager. They say it how it is. They don't pull their punches. They're just very honest, and you know what I mean. I think sometimes they probably get themselves in trouble because they'll just say how they see it, and not everybody can take that. But I think a lot of lads got on well with Martin.
It's so funny because we've obviously chatted to a few. We started, our podcast started with Berbatov, who basically almost had a father-son relationship with him. But then you speak to someone like Bobby, who said that he was saying these things like that. Can't be bothered to be
what Bobby said was the first team talk. I don't know if you remember this. Bobby was saying the first team talk. He said he made disparaging comments, like jokingly, like tongue in cheek about everyone there, and everyone was a bit like, "What the?"
I think do you remember that? Weird. Yeah, see, it's weird. So Martin would say stuff like about like how he didn't need to be here, because but it was more.
It's your job, man.
But it was like the point. And the thing is, if you didn't know him and you didn't know the kind of I suppose the Dutch sense of humour, I think you wouldn't get it, and you might be offended by it. But I don't think it wasn't meant like that. It was more like, I don't need to be here, but I'm here because I want to be here.
Sure.
And that was the point he was trying to get across, which probably didn't go across.
No, it didn't go down well with everyone, apparently.
I was reckoning probably a 50-50 split about how people took them. And you've gone from managers like Husey and like Roy, who are very different as well. So you have to be able, the personalities clash, and that's, listen, any walk of life. So it was fun. I remember was it the one about the cottage, about the stay? I don't know. Did Bobby say about the money in the stadium?
Go on.
No, go on.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. If you're not sure, do it.
So
we'll worry about it later.
I think once he said something about, like he said, he could fill the Craven Cottage and burn his money here or something, and he could still be burning for a few days. That's because he's earning. So
he could fill Cottage
physically with his money.
He did, but it was more so that I was basically trying to get the point across that I've earned a lot, so this job for me is because I want to be here and I want to improve this as a club, rather than I'm doing it for the money type thing. That was like, obviously it was all said and just.
He needed a PR guy.
So
he needed a translator.
So it was funny. So, but like I said, some of the lads were taking it back, but I'm like, I knew exactly what he meant by it. And like I said, because I'd worked with him before, and I was a young lad at Tottenham, and I played quite a lot under him. I kind of knew what he wanted, but he did. His philosophy was very Dutch. He wanted to play football. He wanted to play open football. And then, like the players that he had, you look at Musa and the guys that and he changed.
Great team.
You know what I mean? So you go, hats off at times and then when it went wrong. But listen, I think for it was 50-50 probably between those old boys that had Roy, that then probably weren't used to someone like Martin.
You just said there that you understood exactly what he meant. That's interesting me about your job now as co-commentator. Do you think that like what you did as a playing career, like subconsciously fed being able to do your job now, as in like understanding things, reading, do you know what I mean, fitting into situations?
Yeah, I'd say so, yeah, absolutely, yeah. It's funny because I never would expect it to be doing what I'm doing now. It's just not I don't think I ever really...
But you weren't thinking like,
no, you don't think it as a player. I don't think I'm going to go and be a commentator or I'm going to be a pundit on TV. It's not something that really pops up, and it just opportunities came along. But it does. I think if you have, I suppose, I was a bit more laid back and relaxed the way I am, and that probably allows me to kind of take things in and then just kind of say how I see it, I suppose, rather than other guys are probably a little. And I think the commentary suits me the way I like to talk about football. I love watching football. I love talking about it. I love seeing it. I love being involved in it. So it's a great side of it, listening to coaching. So I've done all my badges. I did them all while I was still playing.
Oh, really? So you have a real good understanding of it as well.
So I did all that, which gives you the tactical side of it, which is nice. And it gives you a tactical side of it, being able to not just understand it, but then able to relay it. Because that's basic coaching. It's not that I've put to practice. I'd probably be horrendous if I was on the touchline. But it just gives you that ability to be able to understand situations which you would do as a player, but then be able to relay them to someone else.
I guess that's like commentary as well. It's like articulating a complicated message in a simple way. So it gets across, basically, isn't it?
That's it.
That's really.
So that means obviously you've continued to watch games and you've seen many Fulham games, obviously, which I think gives us a good opportunity to maybe we can get your sort of dream defensive line Fulham from the time you've been playing, I think, but maybe all the way to present day. Like, what would be your
back four.
We'll including yourself in there.
So I'll put myself in there.
And actually, we'll throw a keeper in as well. Who'd be your keeper?
Schwartzy.
He's in there. Good.
Really?
Schwartzy is just...
He was so good.
So, honestly, there's no keeper I've played with, and I've played with some great keepers over the years that could command the box like Schwartzy. It was just ridiculous. Like, he was just like, block your man, and I'll come get it. And like nowadays, you're going like punching, swinging, balls dropping.
You just know he's getting that ball.
Like maybe modern day football passing and stuff and all. Schwartz, probably say, he probably admits not being as strong as Sue. But he's a goalkeeper. He's there to stop the ball and save shots, and that's what we wanted, and that's what he was. He was so Schwartzy, absolutely in goal. I love Robinson. I love Anton.
Oh man,
I think, I'm a big fan. I think if you're looking at the squad, he's the one that jumps out the most for me as...
We were trying to keep him low profile for a bit, but it's getting harder and harder.
And I like the fact his nickname is Jedi as well. That's great. Literally.
And he can, do you know what? He can score.
Are you a massive Star Wars fan?
Oh my God, literally massive Star Wars fan. So that drew my attention straight away. And then, for my son, he's a massive Star Wars fan as well. So yeah, I think he is. And as a fullback, you kind of watch people. I like how he defends.
Yeah.
I like him, and then but he's never not there for the winger. He's never not there, which I look at going, his any levels are off the scale.
That's actually true. He's never not there, is he?
Never not there.
Yeah. Do you think that the evolution of being a fullback, because even like since you played, like, do you think like that's maybe the thing that's evolved most in football? Like it feels.
Well, it seems like people have noticed fullbacks more in football, which is crazy because I always if you're an important part of a team.
Yeah.
Maybe I was biased, but no, I think I do. I just think it's. People realise the importance of what fullback can do, and I think now when you see them, they're inverted into midfield and stuff and all that's changed. But I think I think what I love about Anton is that I love that he can defend. He can defend 1-on-1.
Yeah,
and you can put him in the fullback. He doesn't shy away from those situations. He will thrive on it, and then his overlapping, his underlapping, and then his delivery when he gets there. So he ticks the box for me for what a modern day fullback should entail.
Totally. Yeah. 2 centre backs.
So he's in there. Yeah.
Brett and Husey.
Yes, come on.
I mean, it's solid. You can't argue with that.
I can't not pick Brett and Husey. Like Brett was just, it's joint, absolute joint of a man. Play through anything, injuries, was always there, and those two had such a good partnership. It was like symbiotic almost. They were just a perfect balance. Yeah. Hughes was so calm, and they weren't scream or showers. They were just did the job.
Just did it. Yeah.
Just did the job.
Hughes especially goes quite unnoticed, doesn't he? A little bit of what he contributed, but he was a phenomenal centre back, wasn't he?
If you're a centre back and you're steady 7 to 8 out of 10 every week, you're doing what needs to be done. That you want your centre backs to be consistent, and they were the epitome of consistency.
Yeah.
And their nickname was the Thames Barrier, wasn't it? Their nickname.
Yeah. But that's what they were. They were just so consistent. Yeah. Rarely made mistakes. Did the right thing. Could play as well, which probably went on the radar. And we played. We were not like now on the box playing, but we played football from the back. We played to the full backs. And then could defend. So it was.
What do you make of this Fulham team now? Where do you think? What can they achieve? Like, obviously you were part of the most successful Fulham team in modern history. Can this team go beyond that? Is this a sixth place?
I watched them now in the last few years. I was at Brighton and I watched and I was like, the turnover when they win the ball back, how quick they can go from attack to defence is really something to behold actually. And I just go, you know what? These are a team that could be pushing. They should be put. I think they push for Europe. I think they push for Europe. I think that's the goal, isn't it? To get yourselves comfortably top 10 pushing for Europe. I think that's what, and I think that's absolutely achievable for these now. Because I said, again, like to talk about Brett and Husey, the consistency value, consistency levels, being consistent, which is massive. I think they're finding that there's less of it up and down. I know we've had the blip against Wolves, but I think for the most part it's like, and then when you're holding, the teams are holding to draws and getting goals away from home, you're going, you know what, that's
big with some big results there, some big points.
And you rate Silva? I mean, you're not going to say you don't.
I think I think he's been brilliant since he's been here. I think he's been absolutely brilliant. The way he conducts himself in the media, the side of things, I think is just he comes across as a really okay. He comes across that the players love to play for him, which is always, if you see that in a manager,
it's true, actually.
You know that a manager's doing something right. You never see disgruntlement, or you see players that don't run around. He says something and it looks like it gets put onto the pitch straight away, which is important, because that's where you see, from my own playing experience, when managers lose that bit, sometimes they lose, where he doesn't look like he has that when I need a squad. They all want to play for him and they all want to do what he wants them to do, which I think is huge.
Beautiful, amazing.
Your son's here.
Yeah, Hugo.
First Fulham game.
First ever Fulham game. Yeah.
Is he a Spurs fan already, or
he's a Spurs. I know. He's a Spurs fan. Sorry.
But what's his first impressions of
He absolutely loves it. We've just walked through the park.
Yeah.
Down, I was showing him the cottage and just chatting to him about it, and he's just like, this is so amazing. He can't go over. Like, he just loves the sense of it. He's like, we're so close to the pitch.
I
suppose as well, when you look at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and it's so it's magnificent. It's such a different way.
It's completely different.
Epic, isn't it? To see that, but to see this, that kind of intimacy.
And then we were talking about the games that were here, and just he's like, wow. And
so because did you see watch you play football?
He saw me play just right at the end. Yeah, right at the end. Yeah,
okay,
so he's 11 now, and so he's only plays right at the end. But it's he loves football. It's funny, he plays rugby with which is hilarious. So, but yeah, that's
He's
gone.
I know.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
And the last thing quickly to say is and it's quite a whimsical thing to say, but when you look at the cottage, do you remember time playing there?
Oh
kind of thing?
It's weird. You get transported back onto the pitch. It's
Yeah,
a
exactly,
strange thing.
yeah.
Like every time you go to a ground you've played for, you straight away think of when you were there and something had happened. And like I just for me, because as a fullback, I just always remember picking the ball up with the fans and because you're always so close to everything, so you're always the first interaction. So if it's going wrong, they're the first to tell you is you, or if it's going well, they're the first to tell you. So the moments I have from here was a lot of time was going well.
And there's direct communication, from people in the front row.
Good advice from. It is one of the one play you can really hear every insult or compliment from anywhere in the stadium. You can hear clearly on the pitch.
It's funny. I think you have to be slightly different, I think, as well, because you are just getting direct interaction with them. And if it's an away ground, you're getting interaction that's not going to always be something you can say on air. And then if it's at home, it's usually encouragement. And except for me, for the most part, it was always good memories here. So when you go to get a ball from a throw-in, which is just something I remember, was always encouraging signs and encouraging words, which is lovely.
Stephen, it's been a pleasure, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Come on, Fulham. Stephen Kelly there, inadvertently also teasing his love for Star Wars and his son's love for Star Wars, and saying they loved Anthony Jedi Robinson.
Yeah.
Not just because they were both marauding fullbacks, but also for love of Star Wars. Anyway, underneath the surface with Fulham Fix. Ivan, who's on next week?
He's a guy that, this is very unique, and I can't imagine this has happened much anywhere in football across the world, but is a guy that has played with Fulham. This is giving it away, basically, in every single tier. Division 3, Division 2, Division 1, and the Premier League, the old Division 1. There we go. It's basically giving it away, but he is an absolute Fulham legend, and it is a fantastic episode.
It's Fulham legend, all-time great, Sean Davis. See you next week.